What's happening, you bad motherfuckers? Welcome to another fun-filled episode of The Fucking Joint. It's Wednesday, the 31st of the month. That's it. It's over. We did another month. We got 4 months left in the year. This is my favorite fucking quarter of the year. I love fucking going all out. I got comedy shows. I got a ton of shit going on. But anyway, I have a guest today in motherfucking studio. This guy, my wife asked me who I had in the podcast today, and I told her the most interesting guy I've met since I've been in New Jersey. Welcome, Mr. ROB SHAFFER, to The Fucking Joint. We're breaking this podcast cherry to boot, too, so what's happening, brother?
Everything's great, bro. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, man, ever since I met you, I've been a different fucking animal. We met through Jiu-Jitsu. We have a mutual friend, Rob Story. He didn't go to class today.
He was in class today.
Hey, he was?
He was in class
Okay,
today.
good. I didn't think he went to class, but we met through him. He introduced me to Mr. SHAFFER because he said maybe he can help you out with the breathing and shit. You know, I love doing jiu-jitsu. I just suck at it, but I keep showing up. But I think this guy's story is interesting for anybody who wants to do anything with their life. So tell us how it started. You were a stockbroker in the city, right?
I was a stockbroker in the city. I wasn't your typical like yuppie Ivy League guy that went to Harvard and became a stockbroker. You know, my dad was a New York City fireman. I was a high school dropout. And I actually coached hockey at Manor Road in Staten Island, which I'm sure you're familiar with, right?
Yes.
So the owner of Manor Road, I used to coach his son at hockey, and the owner of Manor Road owned a broker-dealer called Joseph Stevens in Manhattan on 59 Maiden Lane. And one day when I was like 20 years old, he's like, Rob, what are you going to do when you grow up? And I was like, I'm going to be a professional hockey player. And he took me on his side. He's like, let me tell you something. You're never going to be a professional hockey player. He's like, I was like, well, thanks a lot for the confidence. You know, well, what should I do with my life? He was like, oh, why don't you come work for me? I own a broker-dealer. I didn't even know what a stock was at the time, but I decided to take the opportunity and whatnot. And I went there. I worked for 14 years on Wall Street. I did very, very well. Due to a really unfortunate circumstance in my life, when I was 33, I had an ex pass away, really fucked my head up a little bit. And I decided to spend the next year of my life on a bender that probably could have killed half of the Rolling Stones, you know? And then at the very end of that is when I found Jiu-Jitsu. So
how did you find Jiu-Jitsu? What made you go in there?
During everything, I always worked out. I was always in the gym. It could have been the worst day of my life. I could have been hungover. I was just a gym rat since I was a little kid. So I was in the gym. Long story short, you know, these guys are carrying mats through the gym to set up this little room in the back. And I figured they were doing like a yoga room or some shit like that. But one of the guys I ended up going to high school with, and actually grew up next to since I was 5 years old, his name is Gus Brandstetter. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And we wrestled together. And he was like, oh, it's great to see you. You would love jiu-jitsu. It's just like wrestling, but with submissions. So why don't you come? So I'm like 230 pounds at the time, like fucking jacked. I looked like a big beach ball, like a retard, like all the guys at the Jersey Shore, you know? And I go to the class, and it was cool. And then at the end, he's like, all right, we're going to do live rounds now, and you're going to roll with this guy. And the guy he points to, who, by the way, his name is Dave Zenario. They call him Super Dave. He was a black belt then. He's still a very good black belt, very big competitor. He's about 125 pounds, if that, okay? I'm 230 at the time. And he's about 5'4", okay? So they're like, you're going to roll with him. And I tell my friend Gus, I was like, I'm not going to roll with this guy. Like, I'm going to fucking hurt this guy. I don't want to roll with him. He said, yeah, go hurt him. I said, all right. So I roll with Dave. I had a 110-pound weight difference between me and him. He beat the living shit out of me. When I tell you, like, probably submitted me 25 times in 5 minutes, and that was because he was being nice, you know? So after that, that was it. I was like, whatever the hell this guy just did to me, I need to learn how to do that, and I need to learn it quick because that's never happening again. Now, 7 years later, it still happens every time I roll with him, but it's just, you know, now you know the game. There's always those levels, and he's always up there. Yeah, but that's how I got into it, and I really, really fell in love with it. Really dedicated the past 6 years to training. I train 3-4 times a day sometimes between not just jiu-jitsu, but jiu-jitsu, the gym, the breath work that you and I have been doing together, and things of that nature, and it's changed my life in the best possible way I could ever imagine.
How long did you stay at that school?
I was only at that school for a few months, not for any bad reason, just because I ended up moving. So I went up to North Jersey, and I was training at a school called Pure MMA. I think they're the biggest in New Jersey. They have like 1,500 students in Rockaway. Andy and Mikey Main. Andy was on The Ultimate Fighter, and he was the king of pancrase and stuff like that. And Mikey's just another young, talented guy. But more importantly, they're just like most people you meet, but they're just two of the greatest people. They built a beautiful facility. They have a great student base. And I trained there for a long time until I met Cyborg, and then transitioned to fight sports, and now training with Steve as well when I'm in New Jersey.
Now, where did you meet Cyborg?
So I met So when I first got into jiu-jitsu, I really, really wanted to be great at it, and I kind of got discouraged because I started at 35, you know, and you see all these world champions out there. They're like, you know, 18, 19, 20 years old. So I thought I was very late, and it was discouraging because I was still rolling with younger guys, but I didn't think I'd ever have the ability to accomplish much starting so late in my life. So I met Cyborg at Nogi Worlds, I believe, or maybe, yeah, Nogi Worlds 3 years ago. I think it was 2019, like right before COVID. And I watched him at 40 years old, you know, win a world championship. Actually, I'm sorry. I think in the finals of that, he blew out his knee in it. But nonetheless, last year, for example, at 40 years old, he wins an adult world championship. You know what I mean? Like, guy's a 7-time world champion, ADCC champion, and he's still winning at the highest level at my age. So once I met him, I was like, all right, there's my motivation. I'm going to be the broke man's version of that guy.
So now he trains in Florida.
He trains out of Miami.
So you moved to everything.
I went down there to go move, okay? I trained there with him. I went down there to move. He invited me to join the team. Come back, and now I'm moving, right? Moving down April 15th, 2020. And I lived in Miami. I mean, I lived in Miami in 2013. April 15th, 2020, I had my realtor appointments to look at places, and fucking COVID happens, right? So they canceled all realtor appointments. You couldn't even go into apartments or houses to look at them at that time. So I said, all right, you know what? I'll sit tight as soon as this shit is over, thinking it's going to be, what, a week, you know, 2 weeks, a month, right? Then I'll go move down. Well, here we are now 3 years later. Things are finally just subsiding, and the prices down there have more than doubled. So I'm still probably to a fault so loyal to that team. I will never compete under any different team. I'd rather quit jiu-jitsu. But I'm training right now with, you know, Steve and Inferno, as you know, while I'm up here. They're super supportive and help me as much as they can while I'm here.
The thing that impresses me the most about you is you became a champion at the age of 40?
30, yeah, 40.
40. And it's really interesting that after I spoke to you, you're a champion. I mean, you're a champion in life because
appreciate it.
You put everything you have into this. Like, you know, the ability that you have as a stockbroker to work and make money, you push that aside to be happy, which a lot of people don't even understand that concept. They will never think about that. You know, they'll never adjust it because they're scared they won't be able to make money. You took a chance, you put some money away, and you said, this is what I want to do. I'm going to change my budget. You drive a car like me, a Subaru. Right. You kept your fucking overhead low, and you've dedicated yourself to training. I tell you, that's spectacular.